I'm Dominic, aka Mr. Hackathon on social media. I'm going to give you an introduction to building software without coding. Obviously, most of you are in your somewhere at some point in your career or learning how to code. And I want to introduce new concepts to you so you can combine your technical coding knowledge with some really interesting tools to build software. A little bit about me first. I actually started my technical career programming. Uh, at a very, very early age, I was using HTML and CSS to create MySpace layouts, if you want to call that programming, but that's a debate for some people. And also, I was using Adobe Dreamweaver, which was, I'm not sure if it's still around, but it used to be a very prominent tool for developing websites, so web design. And that's where I started my journey before getting into JavaScript, before getting into Java and other technologies. I really started at the basics of web development. I am a former international athlete, so I played basketball for the English national team. I'm based here in London, UK, but I got a scholarship to go to America and play basketball and learn in America. While in America, I was an architecture and construction student. So I did both architecture and construction, but I was neither a quote unquote pure designer. And I really didn't like being on site and in the field. And my professors encouraged me to become what's called a virtual design construction engineer. So I went into the technology side of architecture and construction, and I was dealing with drones, 3D printers, virtual reality, augmented reality, laser scanners for the construction and architecture industry. This is kind of where I got my kickstart into different ways of developing technology and how corporate businesses view technology and the R&D side of technology. I have been a content creator for an organization called MakerPad and also other brands, and I develop a lot of content around no code and low code. We'll learn a little bit more what that is shortly. I have advised startups and advised accelerators, and I also create content for other communities. Today we'll be discussing why no code and low code is blowing up, some of the technology within the ecosystem, potential careers for you, communities, and we will finish the last hour or so with a practical workshop on how to build a real application without coding. Also, if you have any questions when we're going through this, feel free to just shout out your question, write your question in a comment section. I will get to your question as I see it. So, why is no code and low code a big thing? Historically, creating software has been very, very hard, very expensive, and it's a specialist skill and very time consuming. If you're a business, this can cost you thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions to actually do something or to test an idea. And what no code and low code is doing is providing an opportunity to reduce the cost of developing software, to democratize and allow more people to be able to develop software, and also reducing the time to market to actually test these ideas. For small businesses, it's allowing them to create apps, to create websites, to create automations without paying 5 and 6 figures for a developer. No code as a term is an umbrella term used to describe products that allow users to develop software with minimal coding ability. Now, there's a spectrum. So some tools don't allow you to code at all, and some tools allow you to inject code, to export code, and so on and so forth. We're going to focus on a tool that actually doesn't allow you to export the code, but it's a really easy way to get started with no code and creating your first mobile application with no code. Technologies. So inside the no-code ecosystem, you have lots of different technologies doing lots of different things. Let's start with website builders. I'm sure you might have heard of WordPress. WordPress is considered a no-code tool, and WordPress actually powers about 80% of all the world's businesses. So high adoption for no-code, even though we don't consciously think about it. On the previous slide, I had Webflow. Webflow is an emerging superpower within the space. There's tools like Wix, Bubble. There's lots of different websites, Squarespace. There's lots of different website builders that allowed you to build simple websites without coding. Automation tools. More and more, especially during the recession, there's a recession here in the UK and other places. Companies want to find creative ways to automate their businesses and reduce the amount of effort for their employees. In the no-code space, there's ways to automate without coding. I'm not sure if someone had a question, but there's ways to automate your processes without coding. If you want to automate tweets, if you want to automate invoice generation, if you want to automate sending emails, you name it, you can probably automate it if it has an API. Virtual and augmented reality. If you've ever been on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, they have filters. And it's possible for you to create filters, to create games made out of filters with visual scripting and no coding. Gaming. Using tools like BuildBox or FlowLab, you can create games. You can create mobile games, or you can create games for the web. Web3, maybe you're crazy about crypto, maybe you're crazy about blockchain, or just want to explore what you can do with it, especially in your region of the world. Maybe that's for you. There's tools like OpenZeppelin that allow you to create smart contracts. There's tools like Third Web that allow you to create cryptocurrency tokens, or Builder that allows you to create mint sites without coding. Chatbots and voice applications. Tools like VoiceFlow, Landbot allow you to create chatbots and voice applications without coding. Maybe you love to code, and maybe it's the process of coding that really excites you. It's possible to use backend. So when I first started in the web journey, I was very, very bad at backend technologies. And I learned that I could use no-code tools to manage my backend, and I can code my front end. Mobile applications. So you're going to see shortly some mobile applications I've made and some progressive web applications I made. But you can create native mobile applications without coding too. Again, if you have any questions, feel free just to write it in the comment section or just to shout it out. Careers and opportunities. As the tools to be able to make software without coding becomes widely adopted, especially here in the UK and in the US and Europe, there's a term that's arising called citizen developer. So the concept is that not everybody would be a technical developer, but everybody, or the majority of people, will know how to create software applications using no code and low code tools. They will know how to create business automations, just as many, many people know how to use Excel or Google Sheets. A freelance developer. So you can be a freelance no code developer on Upwork and on Freelancer, and there's no code specific websites too. You can develop websites using WordPress, or using Webflow, using another tool called Bubble, and you can be freelance. You can start an agency. So maybe you're great at getting the contracts and you don't want to spend as much time actually developing and building. You can get the contracts and you can hire people under your agency. You can be a founder. So there's really two paths for a founder. You can bootstrap a company. This means you can build a company, generate revenue from your company, and reinvest that into the company. Or you can be a VC-backed company and you can build a MVP or build a first version of your product using no-code tools, demonstrate traction, demonstrate there's a need for it, and then go out and get funding for your startup. You can be a content creator or and instructor. So I partially do this. This is part of what I do. I make lots of content. I've made lots of AI content on my YouTube channel. I do a lot on TikTok too. Or you can be a hobbyist. So you don't have to feel like you have to commercialize developing software. If you just like to create software because that's what you find fun, you can do that too, and that's okay. Communities. So just as a lot of you are in Google communities, in the no code space, there's also communities that are very, very valuable. So On Deck. So if you just Google On Deck is a worldwide community of innovators and entrepreneurs. 100 Days of No Code is a hashtag on Twitter. And people similar to 100 Days of Code, if you've ever done that or you heard of it, people take up the challenge to participate in doing micro projects for 100 days. Makerpad.com have courses and a community for no code and low code. Indie Hackers is not just no code and low code, it's about entrepreneurship, software development, and more. And Product Hunt is a website where people are launching products. So if you have built a application or if you actually built something and you want to market it, you would likely launch it on Product Hunt. Does anyone have any questions before I go on to some of the projects I've built? Okay. Missing Black people. So I'm based in the UK, and in the UK, Black people are 3 to 4 times more likely to go missing, and we don't get the media coverage. And I've used a website builder called Softer to be able to build that. And I use some automations too to be able to curate the appeals that come in and display it on the website. And this is relatively simple, but it built a huge community. It was featured in news outlets across the world. Many interviews. We did petitions that we got thousands and thousands of people to do to get the government to do something and to care more about missing Black people. And this is what I like. It's part of the reason why I'm kind of speaking to you today, because of social impact. I'm really passionate about social impact, but I'm passionate about teaching others how to have social impact in their communities and to use technology to do that. Crypto scan detector. So this is a Chrome extension, again, built by no code, and it was for detecting fraudulent crypto websites. So I used the CoinMarketCap API, which is a trusted database for crypto tools. Well, it's not really crypto tools; it's cryptocurrencies. And I connected my Chrome extension to that, and it verifies the current website a user's on, and it says whether or not it's in the CoinMarketCap database. Web3, so similar product, but this is more a directory. At one point, I published this in the Google Play Store and the App Store, and it had over 230 crypto resources, career opportunities, decentralized finance, DAOs, games, you name it, it was in that app. So there's other projects I can show you, and maybe I'll show you some of the other projects at the end, some AI related projects, different industries, but we're going to go on to actually building something with no code. Does anybody have any questions?
I'll check.
Yeah.
So, like someone without a computer science background would be able to use no code and develop something that is like what we have seen you showing us on those projects you've done.
Yes, definitely, 100%, and that's the goal. That's the goal, to democratize it, so it's not only computer science people that can develop software. If you do have a technical computer science background, you can do more. whereas there is a limit that a person without coding ability can do, but they can still create a really amazing application. They can create AI applications on blockchain applications without coding, but if you know how to code, you can go a little bit further.
Okay, so here in Rwanda, we are familiar with content management systems like WordPress or Jomila, or that those are the ones we're familiar with. So, what would be the difference between those CMS and this no code?
No code isn't just a content management system. You can create a content management system with no code, but it's not like you can deploy an actual native application, or you can make a real Chrome extension.
Okay, so, great. Thanks.
Yeah. So here we're going to, and again, if anyone has any questions, just unmute yourself and shout out your question. Here we're going to use a tool called Glide, and Glide is free. It does have a premium version, and you'll see where the difference between the premium and the free version as I go through this. People are creating delivery planners, business reports, ways to manage applicants for applications, customer portals. You can build an e-commerce store similar to Shopify on here, or ShareTribe, and people use ShareTribe, which is another no-code tool for developing marketplaces. So this is a relatively good tool for beginners. If you're familiar with MIT App Inventor, it is as easy as that, but you can do more functionality. So App Inventor is probably the most basic thing in the no-code ecosystem. This is a little bit more complicated, but it does add a lot more functionality. So we're going to create an app now. You do need a Google account. You do need a Google account, but you don't need to pay for this. And also, this is online, so you don't need to download anything to be able to use this. So yeah, go ahead and shout out your question. I think somebody has a question. Do you have a question? Someone raised their hand. Going once, going twice. Okay, go through. If you have a question, just shout out your question. So you can see all the projects I've created, a lot of different projects. But when you create an account, you'll come to something like this, and you'll see new project. And you'll see something like this where it says create new project, and we are going to create a project. So I just want to make sure I get this right. So you can either create a desktop application, or you can create a kind of mobile experience. And I want to make sure everything I have is connected effectively. Okay. And what we're going to do is next you select a source. So we're going to select Glide Tables, which is the native CMS to this platform. But let's say you already have data in Google Sheets. You can use Google Sheets as your data source, or you can use Excel as your data source. So if you are doing freelancing, like I mentioned in the career paths, they might already have something in Google Sheets or Excel that you can give an amazing front end face to, so they can interact with the data a lot easier. You can also use Airtable, which is a little bit newer, but it's also an opportunity to connect it to an Airtable data source that's becoming more and more popular. We're going to use Glide Tables. So we're going to create this project, and I think we're going to create an e-learning app. So there's lots of different apps you can create, but I think we're going to stick with an e-learning app. And so what we have here is this interface. It gives us some dummy data. I'll show you how we can change that a little bit later. It gives us some options on the left and some options on the right to change the style and also what you can the appearance to. We generally like to start off with the back end and we like to start off with the data. So I am going to make some changes to this. So we're going to create an e-learning platform. I think we're going to create, let me think. I think we're going to create an e-learning platform about the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So what I want to do, I want to keep the name. I'm actually going to remove these related things so I can actually show you how to do it. So I'm going to remove that. We're going to leave this category image, but the way they got the category image is to add a column, you can do that. And you have to choose a type of column. You can add Boolean image, date and time, rich text, phone number, you name it. You can add lots of different types. You can add if then else statements and relations to connect to other tables. See, it's even though it's no code, it's not completely basic. You can still do relational databases. And so what we're going to do is make some changes. We're going to leave it. This is the name where I got to think about the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Now let's type. So we're going to do a couple of these. We're going to create an e-learning app to teach people about the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So one of them's no poverty, zero hunger, and good health and well-being. So we're going to go back. No poverty. I think it was zero hunger. Health and well-being. So we have some categories for the lessons that we're going to add. So we want to go to things and we want to add specific lessons. So what we're going to do is delete some of this. We'll put 6. And we want a name of the lesson. We don't want quantity. We do want an image. We are going to replace this image. We do want a category. And what we're also going to add is a URL. This is going to be our video. We're also going to add description. And now we're going to add lessons under this. We will also need a relational column to connect the categories to the things. So what I'm going to do is I have to come up with lessons now. So let's go to YouTube and find UN Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, so let's choose one as understanding poverty, a basic introduction to to poverty worldwide. And we're actually going to do a similar thing. So we're going to do an intermediate, spell this right, introduction to poverty worldwide. So I'm just going to give it a random name. What I also want to do is just double check zero hunger and good health and well-being. Zero hunger. Understanding hunger. I'm not going to say a basic introduction to hunger worldwide. I'm going to say hunger 201. If anyone has any questions, just feel free to shout out a question while I add things to the database. So one of the main things, I guess, with any application is you need data. So that's what I'm providing it with right now. So if we actually go back, we can see that this is updating in real time. This is not exactly how we want it, but we are going to make some adjustments a little bit later. Just going to make sure that this is exactly how we want it. So we are going to make some changes here. We want this to be, the category for this is no poverty. Just make sure I do it exactly the same before we add our relational column. The platform, this one, zero hunger. And I'll just copy this. Good health and well-being. So we have a name, description, image. We're going to change this image later if we've got some time. We have a category video. We need our relational column, but the relational column is going to go here. We don't need this count, so I'm just going to remove this. And to add a relational column, we have to go to relation, and we have name, and if we go to things, and then to category. So we can see now the lesson under, and I'm going to change this name to related things. The lesson under the category no poverty is understanding poverty. Zero hunger is zero hunger. Good health and well-being is good health and well-being. And so what we want to do now that we got some premise of a database is we want to actually change this user interface. And to change the user interface is super easy. The first thing I want to do is I actually want to, for now, I want to remove these two menus. I just want to have the categories first. So when the user comes to our app, I want them to see the categories of the lessons for our e-learning app. So to do that, all I have to do is hide categories. These are the tabs on our side, and tabs represent a table. So where you see things, category users, you might have, I don't know, you might have other tables, and these could represent screens if you hide and show it. Again, if this is confusing, please let me know and I'll clarify. And what I actually want to show is categories. And what we can see here on this category screen is the details. So you have screen components, you can see charts, a separator, and an inline list. We want to actually change this. What we're going to do is remove the chart. We have no need for the chart. And we want to change the style. So with a details screen, which you can see here, you can add all these different details. If you wanted to, and we're going to later, you can add scan barcode, you can add a buy button, you can add email, you can add entry fields for notes. There's lots of different things you can add on a detail screen. But when the user first comes to our app, we don't want a detail screen. What we want is a list. So now we have a list. We can actually change what this list looks like. We can have the tiles. We can have a calendar. We because we don't have no dates, the calendar won't make sense. We can have a map. And again, because we don't have no locations, that won't make sense. You can have a checklist or cards. What I like is the cards. And then now we can edit the cards. So what you can do is map the content image to the image that you have in the database. If we go back to our categories, you can see we have this image that was generated, but you might have a real cover for this no poverty category or a real cover for this zero hunger category. You can change the header, you can change the title. Because I don't have no description of what this category actually means, which you probably want, I probably want to remove one of these. So let's remove that. You can add an action. So here's where the interesting thing about no code comes in. No code can allow you to add logic in a really, really simple way. So whereas if you wanted to code this, it might take you a while, maybe an hour or two. If you want to add a row to the database, to compose an email, to delete the row, to play a sound, or scan a barcode, or any custom action which you can connect, you can trigger a webhook which triggers external action to actually happen. You can send HTTP requests and do really interesting things. All you have to do is select it here. If you was coding, it would take a lot longer to actually do that. We are going to show a detail screen, and you'll see what that actually means shortly. We can change the image shape. So as you can see, the image shape's a lot bigger, but because our images are so small, there's no point for that. You can change the size, so you can have it half size like that, full size. You can change the card style. You can change the orientation. So maybe you have a featured list. Because this is e-learning, maybe I had feature categories going horizontally, and then I had another set of categories going vertically. but we are going to put ours vertical again. You can change the corners to be round. You can also add a button. So we're going to add a button, and you're going to see what this does shortly. But the button was added, there was a heart added here, so you can add it to your favorites. But we're going to actually do that in a little bit. And this is the entire thing that we're going to do when it comes to actually adding styles to our categories for e-learning. Maybe the one thing I want to do is remove the label categories at the top and have maybe home. Or we're not going to say home, we're just going to remove it completely. Again, if anyone has any questions, please just let me know. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add, let's see, just double check this. Okay. So under each category, we have a list of items. So when we click on it right now, it shows an inline list. We don't have a source. We have a title name, which we actually want to remove. And we have an inline list. So the inline list component allows us to show these related things, but we have to add a source. So the source we're going to add is, I believe it's related things right here. So now you can see the related courses to this. So if we go back, you can see Zero Hunger, and you can see the related Understanding Hunger here. We can see the related courses. And what we want to do again is I prefer these cards, so we're going to change this to cards. What we're going to do this time is change the details to description, because we actually have a description. So now we have a title and we have a description, which is perfect. We're going to keep everything else as it is, other than adding a button so people can add this particular one to their favorites. We do have to troubleshoot in a little bit. We have to see why. And this is important to note too. So because we added the component that allows you to favorite a course or favorite a category, it also automatically added in our database saying is favored, which allows you to do visibility conditions and different logical conditions. But we want to see right now why not all the courses is coming up. So what I am missing here, it says no poverty, zero hunger, zero hunger. So for some reason, it's not showing. Just double check. Oh, because I didn't have match multiple. So I actually have, this is a one-to-many relation. So I can have many different lessons under a course. And I just have to do check multiple. So now if we go back to our app, we can see the two courses showing up there. What we do want now is we want to click on it and we want to actually show the course content. So we want to show the video. Right now, we don't have a video, so we're going to have to find videos to put there. I'm not going to do videos for all of them, but I am going to do for maybe one or two just to show you what it looks like. So what we're going to do first is just remove this because this is not useful for us. We're going to put the placeholder UI components. So what I want is some kind of title. I am going to remove the image. So I have a title here I have a description. And the next thing I want to do is to add a video. So if I just hit video, and this matches to video, but obviously I don't have anything there right now. I think the next thing I want to do is to allow users to add a rating to that particular course. And I'll show you what exactly happens. So I have rating, and I'm going to allow users to add 5-star. But I need to create a column for this. So I'm going to create a column called rating and make that a number. And then I'm going to go back and map that data to rating. There's additional things we can add. We can add a comment section if we want. There is comments. We could add a comment section. We can add different things here, but I think that's enough for now. What we do want to do is add some video. So right here in our courses, you can see there's no video link. So I can just grab a video from YouTube. I grab a random video.
My name's Tashi Sidford, and in this segment,
So I grabbed a random video and I paste there. I'm just gonna double check that's the right video. Maybe I'll double check in the UI. Okay, we can see the video coming up in the UI. I'm going to grab another one about zero hunger.
Behind every successful product.
So you can apply this to any use case you can think of. You can do an e-learning app for mental health. You can do an e-learning app for technology and new technology, or you can do an e-learning app for farming. You can do a directory for farming. You can apply these to anything that you can think of. What we want to do, so this was zero hunger. And we want to go back. And so now, if we go all the way back, we'll see we have our categories. We go to zero hunger. Then we have our lessons in that category. Obviously, the pictures, we would like to customize the pictures. And then we click on the lesson and we can actually see the YouTube video show up. So this is the basis of our e-learning app. There is a customization that I do want to add. I don't like this title here. I want to add formatting. So I am going to change this a little bit. I'm going to add rich text, or maybe text, I can't remember. Okay, I think it's text. Okay, that's good. I'm going to do that like that. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to change this to the description. Make this regular. Okay, so I prefer that. So the lesson's name, Understanding Hunger, then a basic introduction to hunger worldwide. Users can rate it. We didn't add a comment section, but we could add a comment section where users can add comments or learners can add comments. There's one thing here that we can see that we don't actually want. So now users can edit, and they can edit this content and edit it in our database too. We don't want that. So what we want to do is go to edit form. Right here, it has allow users to edit. We could add a condition and say we only want users that are admin to edit. Right now, we're just going to uncheck that. And now nobody can edit it directly. They have to go over to the database to actually edit this. But we could add conditions to allow only certain types of users to edit. One of the last things we do before we publish is we want to connect the user profiles. So we go back to our database. We have a name, email, photo. We can add more things such as role. There's different things we can add associated to a user. Maybe they have a particular class. Maybe they live in a particular area, or you can add their phone number. You can add all this different stuff. Remember, you just click there, choose the type of data, and create the column for the data. But here we just have name, email, photo. If we go back, users, our user profiles connected to our users. We have name connected to name, email connected to email, image connected to photo. And we want to allow users to edit. So we want to allow users to edit their information. So now they can sign out, they can edit their information. That's perfect. They can upload a picture. Perfect. One of the reasons we wanted to do this is because we actually wanted to add, if I can see this, we wanted to add a favorite bar. So here, we select that, we add a favorite bar, and now they can add favorites to their category. So if we, or they can favorite a category. If we select that, they've now favorited this particular category. They click that and it unfavorites the category. Now they have an option for favorites. So we're going to publish this. What we want to do to publish it is we've got the name here, we've got the author, we might add a description, a e-learning app about the UN status. Maybe we're going to change this icon to a world. We can change the theme and appearance. So right now it looks dark because my computer's in dark mode. But if we turn off match devices theme, you can see it's actually white. You can change that to that. You can actually make it dark, which I personally prefer. You can make it like that, like that. So I kind of like that one. You can change the accent color to be a different accent color. And you can also change the font. So depending on the no-code platform you use, each one provides a different amount of flexibility. So you can see we do have some options to change the font, but it's only 4. There's thousands of different fonts out there. There's other platforms that will allow you to change the font to whatever you want to. If the font's out there, it will allow you to, not Glide. And I think that's okay for beginners. Something that I missed a little bit earlier is right now you can see it in the iPhone format. To see it in the Android format, you just click up here and you preview it in an Android, and this is how it will look in an Android. Tablet and desktop, this is a pro version. So right now we can view our app on desktop devices, but it's not responsive on desktop. This is optimized. The free version only optimizes for mobile if you select mobile, and for desktop it only optimizes for desktop if you select desktop. The pro version allows you to switch between both, and it optimizes based on which one you're using. That's what the pro version does. The pro version also allows you to add a custom domain. So for people to access this, they can, we're not going to publish right now, but you will see a domain name, and they don't have to download it if they don't want to. They can access it through the internet at this domain name. Privacy, so we can make it public, so you don't need to sign in. We can make it public with email. You're going to have to sign in, and we can allow them to sign in with Google. Unfortunately, right now, you can, if you're going to add like a third party sign in, it can only be Google. I know, Pinterest and Apple and even GitHub, I think, even have a sign in. But that's a limitation of Glide right now. So just making sure. So sign in screen. So you have this sign in screen. We can customize the sign in screen. We're actually going to leave it at welcome. Please enter your email address. If you have the pro version, you can customize the background and add an image. You can add your logo on here if you have the pro version. So we're going to publish this. And we're going to so it's publishing right now. I'm going to copy this out link so I can share it with you so you can see on your phones at home. This is what it looks like on desktop. On your mobile phone, it just looks like a mobile app. If I sign in, you see, I'm just going to connect it. And now signing in. And you can see we have our app. I don't have anything in my favorites. I add Zero Hunger to my favorites. I click on it. I have my courses. I can click on my course. You have the YouTube player that loads. And I give it a rating 4 out of 5. So I'm going to share this link with you in the chat so you can see for yourself. To remove that mark with made with Glide, it's a pro version too. So it's pro to remove the watermark. So that's how you make an application without coding. So we do have some time left. We have about 25 minutes. Usually I reserve this time for questions. If anybody wants to see anything else, sometimes people have questions about other platforms to do other things. Does anyone have any questions? No questions? Hello, can anyone hear me? Okay, so if nobody has no questions,
Check in the chat.
Okay. There was one question from, I think, Issa. How to remove the watermark, and the way you remove that watermark is upgrading to the pro version. I wouldn't recommend doing that so soon. Like, test your idea, and then after you test your idea and your idea is validated and people are using it, then remove the watermark, because you have to pay for it. Glide is something called freemium, so you can use it for free. You can do everything you need to do, what I just done, for free. But there's certain things you have to pay premium for. So you have to have a premium account to remove the watermark, to add custom branding, to that welcome screen. There's some other things that I went through when going through the build that you do have to pay premium for. I'm sure if you want to use it and you want to upgrade, I would highly recommend letting me know. There's probably some student discount that I could get you through the Glide team. I do a lot of these. I'm not partnered with Glide, but I do have a fairly good relationship with a lot of these no-code platforms. Any platform you have where we can learn. So I do have a YouTube channel. If you go to my channel is actually called How to Build Software Without Coding. Let's see if it comes up. I will put the link for my channel in the chat. I'll also share this. I'll share the link to my channel afterwards. The recording will be uploaded to my channel. Since this is a Google community, I think I feel obliged to say that Google have their own no-code platform, and it's called AppSheet. So if I show you, Google acquired this maybe 4 years ago. So this is Google's no-code platform.
We are not seeing your screen.
Oh, okay, sorry. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
So it's called Google AppSheet, and that's Google's no-code platform. Amazon have their own. Microsoft have their own. A lot of tools have. A lot of big companies, big tech companies, are now understanding the value, especially for businesses, and they're developing or acquiring their own platforms. If we go to templates, we can actually see some templates and some examples of things that are being made. So inventory tracker, project tracker, delivery, order deliveries, task managers, marketing projects, class attendance, so team directories. You can see lots of business use cases that they've already developed for you. I'm sure your university or local businesses would have a very, very strong use case for this, and this could be a good opportunity for you to use no code to be able to develop applications for them that are easy to manage and easy for you to learn and build. So this is Google's no-code platform. There's also another platform that's slightly more complicated than what I showed you today. It's called Flutterflow. So the reason this is interesting is because this is another visual one, but this allows you to export the Flutter code. So if you wanted to continue working, but you wanted to do code on top of that, you can actually export the code and continue working on the code. But also you can use Google Firebase as a backend database if you want to use Google Firebase. Again, this is free. It does have a freemium version, and it also does have like a 2-week free trial. But it does have a free version where you can build a progressive web app. The standard version allows you to download the APK, download the code. If you can actually get your project done within 2 weeks, you can. It's a 2-week free trial, so you can actually download the code before the trials ended. I've used the GitHub integration so you can deploy code, so you can build with no code, and you can deploy that in the form of code directly to GitHub. You can also deploy it to the Apple app and Google Play Store directly. Again, if this is something, especially if it's a premium version that interests you, definitely, and you want to pay for it, definitely speak to me and I will speak to the platform and try and get some kind of student discount or some kind of discount to work something out. And again, I'm not partnered with these organizations, but I do have a good relationship with a lot of the no-code platforms. If nobody has, let's see, after completing a project, can you host them in the usual common hosting platforms? So it depends on the platform. So Flutterflow that I just showed you, you can. The tool that I use to build Chrome extensions is called Builder. You can too, but you have to really be able to export the code to be able to host it on something like GitHub. If you're not hosting it on GitHub, you can have it in your portfolio, but you can't host the code anywhere because you can't export the code. The only ones that you can host on GitHub or similar platforms is where you can export the code, which is not every platform. So we're going to wrap it up if nobody has any more questions. I do have, so you can reach out to me on YouTube. I'll also drop my Twitter, and you can message me on Twitter or even email me. If you have any questions, please let me know. As I said, NoCo is becoming a lot bigger and providing a lot more opportunities to you, especially if you want to test what it's like being an entrepreneur. I think there's another question. Feel free. You can unmute yourself or you can write the question. It's up to you.
Okay, mic check. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I sincerely just wanted to request if there might be maybe other resources that you can share them with us so that we can go deep after this session, since it was so interesting, so that we can keep on learning all about no code.
Yeah. So,
and if there might be also connections for maybe other runners for this session, it might be helpful to us just even after this session.
yeah. So here, MakerPads is a great resource. I've created content for them. But you can see here, there's other resources on how to create marketplaces, how to create landing pages. You can see here, someone's created
Check.
Hello?
The screen is not shared. We are not seeing your screen.
Let's see. So MakerPad is a great resource. Makerpad.co. You can see here that there's tutorials to do with automation, e-commerce, generate Google Docs dynamically. Let's see. Lots of different resources on how to create different things. Mobile applications. So if we click that, you'll see there's different ways to create mobile applications with different tools. Adalo is a tool I use a lot. Another good resource, if we go to Twitter, and this resource I highly, highly recommend. So if we go and type in hashtag 100 days of no code, and as you can see right here, the top of my timeline, there's somebody said they landed their first client after weeks of practicing. So Bubble is an advanced no code tool. So it's the types of things I've made in Bubble. If I show you here, so I made a Bubble application that connects to AI technology, and I can show you what this does right here. Anything relatively complex, I do in Bubble. So it's a review generator. So if I type in Telegram, or let me type in WhatsApp, and I choose a word, I say WhatsApp's essential, and I think WhatsApp is helpful, and I think WhatsApp's outstanding. I type my email. What I will see here in the display when I click generate, we see it's generated a product review. So it says WhatsApp's an essential tool for anyone that wants to stay connected with their friends and family. It is easy to use and has outstanding features that make it one of the most popular messaging apps available. So now I could copy that, and if I wanted, I could. It's probably too long for Twitter, but I could paste it as a tweet, or I can paste it on a review platform, let's say Amazon or whatever. So this person has landed their first Bubble client after weeks of learning a tool like Bubble, and Bubble's what I've built this in, which is a different tool. But we was talking about communities, and I've typed in 100 days of no code. If we actually go to the page, this is a large community of hundreds of people that take on the challenge of learning no code by doing small micro projects. So it gives you some learning paths to do micro projects. I've created some of those learning paths, but you can see people are creating their MVPs of their ideas. People are entering the challenge every month and building things every month. So I definitely think it's worth following on Twitter, 100 Days of No Code, and just talking to people and seeing what they're building. You don't have to build straight away. You can learn more and figure out more. I'm definitely a person that believes you learn best by building. But if you want to still just soak up knowledge and watch the YouTube tutorials and YouTube channels and find out what you like, you can do that too. That's no worry. Does that answer your question? About additional knowledge and where to go, places to go. Okay. So does anybody have any final question? We do have about 9 minutes left. If you have any final questions. If not, we'll wrap it up. Everybody has my contact details. So don't forget, my YouTube and my Twitter is in the chat. I will follow up and share my YouTube and Twitter account again, but I will also share the recording. I'll upload the recording, share the recording so you can watch it back.